Alright, let's take a quick gander here. I'm sure you look at your swing quite a bit on video. Right about there, and then it looks like you stopped turning. Well, you can go a little bit, not too bad there. Alright, so you have mastered the down cock, but you're cheating. You're getting there the wrong way. So I can tell you practice this drill. You're going to the top and you're down cocking it and getting a lot of lag coming down.
I just try to keep it as loose as possible.
And you're doing a great job with it. It's perfect in terms of what it looks like mechanically and picture-wise and position-wise. But I concern less with the position itself. I'm more concerned with how you got there, how you created that. What movements did you do and what sequence and so on that allowed you to do that? A down cock should happen as a result of weight shift, not because of your arms or hands or anything like that. It's then you're fabricating. You can make it look perfect. It looks perfect, right? But when you look at this one, I'm going to show you in a second, you're going to realize when you start down cocking, your legs haven't moved at all. Your lower body hasn't moved at all. There's no power there, right? Now, part of this could be a result from what you've done, you know, the surgeries you've done, but it doesn't mean we can't get you to do it that way.
Oh, no.
Right? We can get you there. So now watch what happens here. As you come down, watch. The thing I look at is how much your hands are going to move versus how much your hips are going to move in that same amount of time, right? So that's what we're going to look at. How much your hands move.
Yeah.
A foot.
But the hips are hardly moving.
Barely moved at all, right? But your hands have moved 1.5 feet.
Yes.
Okay? So all that means, this looks beautiful in terms of positions and
arms. I haven't got the weight on the left side.
No weight and no movement, right? Yeah. Everything on your swing looks fantastic. But it's how you got there that's going to separate the big boys from, you know, the short hitters, right? All your power is going to come from getting muscle recruitment from your core so that you can physically move that club faster. You got all the leverage in the world. You got all the lag you need, but you've got nothing to move it, right? So that lag, think my dump truck and drag racer analogy, right? Yeah. That lag in the wrists and the arms, that's the drag racer. But that drag racer's got a limited amount of fuel. It's only got to make it a 1/4 mile, right? But because it's only got a 1/4 mile of fuel, you can't fire it till down here. But if you start getting everything to work with just your arms and hands, you never got to the racetrack in the first place. The racetrack starts down here. The only thing that really matters in the golf swing is what happens from right here to right here, right? Yeah. That's why that 9 to 3 drill is so important. So you're not getting to the racetrack before you fire off the rocket booster. We got to get the dump truck, the big tow truck, to pull everything down, and then you've got oomph to accelerate the hands, accelerate the club, and use your whole body. Does that make sense? Yes. So I'm not going to look at the down the line stuff because I know what's going on there. So what I want to do is get your body working correctly first. Yeah. Once we wake that up, everything else you're doing is going to pay off tenfold because you've got all these awesome positions coming down. You've got a good impact. You've got a good release. You've got great lag, a good turn. Everything looks awesome. It's this that's missing. Does it make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Right. I know, because when I really hit a bad shot, I just chunk it behind me. I just haven't got over at all.
Yeah, good. That's exactly right.
That's the relic, partially, of practicing for 2 years with an ankle I couldn't stand up.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life.
Well, hindsight's 20/20, right? I shouldn't have jumped on a downhill mountain bike.
Now, do you want to continue with this or go to a 5-iron?
You can grab any iron you want. Doesn't matter to me. Matter of fact, you're not going to use the club at all, so grab whatever you want. So stand over here for me and just throw that thing away. We don't need that.
All right.
So put your arms across your chest and go to the top of your swing. How would you start down? Okay. So 2 things. 1, the more you turn going back, what does that mean on the way down?
More have to coming down.
Right. So when I said go to the top, you went like this. This is the lazy man's turn. My hips did the turn, not my upper body. So if I just turn my hips, the muscles I actually need to engage and activate in the right side, the right glute, the right leg, the right hamstring, they actually have to lengthen to allow your hips to pivot that much. So go to the top of your swing again. I'm going to change something here. Okay. Now squat down on your right leg. What'd you feel?
You can feel this tightening up.
It woke up, didn't it?
Yes.
You don't feel that normally, right?
No.
Do it again. Do it your way. What do you feel in those same set of muscles? What do you feel now?
Nothing very much.
All right. So at the end of the day, we need about 32 pounds of muscle to generate 100 miles an hour cardiac speed. Okay. If you take these muscles and you just totally relax them, you're taking the chunkiest muscle in your body, your glutes, and saying, I don't need those. Your hamstrings, I don't need those. My quads, I don't need those either. My obliques, all these big muscles that tie together in your core, and disengaging them. So the last thing on earth that you'd ever want to do going back is let everything go together, because you engage nothing here. You lengthen the muscles that you need to actually activate and do nothing in your core. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing you've got to do is going back is think about what's the first thing you're going to do coming down? What's the first step?
Weight transfer.
Weight shift, right?
Yeah.
So you need to activate muscles that are going to help you shift your weight. Instead, what you've done is you've activated muscles that are going to help you down cock, right? You've got all your wrists and arms and all that stuff working perfectly, but this stuff isn't activated at all, so it can't help you do anything. So we got to get it woken up immediately. The first thing you're going to do from right now on is you're going to think about loading your right glute, like during the takeaway. Sit into it as an exaggeration right now to wake up those muscles and keep your pelvis from rotating so much. You're going to learn to rotate from your core first. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So set up again for me. Let's do a couple little drills here. I want you to turn without your hips moving at all. Go ahead. There you go. What do you feel helping you turn now? Feel your obliques?
Mm-hmm.
All this stuff starting to work?
Yeah.
Okay. These are the muscles that rotate your torso. Now as you keep going
Mm-hmm.
and sit into that right leg just a hair, get over there. There you go. You felt how as you put more weight over here, you recruited more muscle fibers, more activation. You feel more work being done, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're looking for at the top of your swing. Let's go back to address and do that again. There you go. Now what do you feel?
Now I can feel this really tightening up.
You look like a golfer. Again.
Got to do it without getting onto the outside of the foot.
Yeah, just think middle of the foot. Just think like an athlete, right? If you were a baseball player and you were going to throw a ball, you wouldn't roll to the outside, and you wouldn't try to stay on the inside. You're going to get your weight balanced so you can put more load on it. Stay right through the center. Again. One more. All right, let's take a look. Notice how much more your upper body is rotating now compared to your lower body. And it gets pulled in at the end. That's a big turn. And now you're loaded up and coiled up and look like every tour player on the planet.
I haven't seen that. Do this again because I haven't picked up exactly what you're driving it.
Okay. Let's compare it to what you did earlier. We've got a lot of lessons on here now, so I'm trying to keep track of all of them. So there, nothing, oh shoot, not that one. Do you look loaded up there in your lower body?
No.
It looks like you're just standing there talking to somebody on the side of
Yes.
the street, right?
Yes.
You can stay there all day.
Yes.
That guy looks like he's going to do something.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So what you're looking for here is obviously A, a full turn, and B, loading up on that hip. You've got to have some weight over there, first of all, to recruit more muscle. And this left leg's got to stay out a little bit, because this is the first thing that's got to go back, is that left knee has got to get over your center of your left foot. It's got a long ways to go.
Yes.
Right? So the more that you turn that going back, the harder you've got to work to bring that thing down. So I'm going to actually get this a little bit better, because the spacing between your knees has collapsed a little bit. And this, what that means is you've turned. So let me show you what that means. If I had a ball between my legs and I turned, it'd be really hard because that ball's not going to compress. That spacing is going to stay the same. But if I didn't have anything and I just get kind of soft with it, it's going to look like, from your perspective, that that ball would be crushed, right?
Yes.
Because I'm just letting this knee buckle in. As I let that happen, that allows this hip to move, which again creates no tension here. I'm trying to keep this feeling like it's more or less anchored in place. So this knee, instead of letting it come in and look like I'm losing that space, imagine if I exaggerated and I kept that knee there. Now how far can my hip turn? Way less, right?
Yes.
My hips turning in the downswing, I know that if I turn them 45 degrees going back, how far do they got to go on the way down? Another 45. So I got to turn 90 degrees in a quarter of a second. Okay. But if you make it 60 degrees, now I got to go that much more. And the muscles that are going to help me actually get all that hip rotation and weight shift are disengaged because they're just sitting there chilling out, doing nothing, right? So it makes it virtually impossible to shift your weight. And this is what most people do, is they don't realize the importance of being anchored to the ground and digging your feet into the ground and using your legs and your trunk to go back and feel it anchored. So this is going to feel way different than what you're used to. Your legs are going to be woken up here in just a couple minutes. Make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense. And I knew this was my problem getting over here, but I didn't quite understand the problem.
Perfect. Well, let's fix it. So go ahead and set up again for me. Do a couple little things here. Now do the same thing. Rotate back. Don't let your head move. Do it again. There you go. Now what do you feel in your lower body and your trunk? Make sure you let your hips shift to the right just there. There you go.
Yeah, I feel power as though I've got something to push with here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now you can see how much less your knee has moved. So when I was talking about your knees look like they're collapsed going back, if you had a ball there, you can still be able to keep it there. That doesn't mean I'm telling you to keep your knee in place. It's got to come back a little bit and it's going to come forward. But when you let it do this, you feel how different that feels versus having this nice stable base there. There you go. Now come back to the left using the muscles you feel. Perfect. Don't turn your chest and you got it. Again. Just your hips. There you go. Straighten that left leg. You're done. That's the whole golf swing. Everything that you need to know, you just did. Because your arms already work perfectly. You don't have to worry about that. It's this that needs to start moving the arms. Again. One more. Good. Now let's put one of those on camera. Go ahead. Sorry, I gotta do one more. One more time for me. There we go. Come down. Perfect. Now let's take a look. Watch your lower body going back now. So you've maintained the spacing now, you look more anchored, your lower body looks like it's doing something instead of just following along with what your upper body's doing. Does that make sense? So now, remember I told you earlier, let's show you. Alright, so this is where we started. So now, that's the top of the swing before. You can see how much less spacing you have and how much further your knee has to go in the downswing. Here you're already halfway there. It's just way less movement. And it's got to happen so quickly in the downswing to produce any speed and power that the further you move that knee away from there, the further it's got to go, the harder timing is going to be. You've got to really work.
That explains a lot.
So then you're posted up. You're already there. This is perfect impact position, as good as it gets. But more importantly, the impact position is driven by this and not this stuff.
Yeah, I understand that completely. I can see. Yeah. Keep that back there.
The simplest way to feel this, come over here for a second and grab a seat on the edge of the cart there. Like in the passenger seat, either one. Let's use this one. This is my favorite drill in the world to get you to feel what it really should feel like when you're taking the club back. So sit on the edge of the seat, put your arms across your chest. Yeah, scoot up a little bit so you got some room. And now just turn and talk to me. How much did your hips move?
None.
0. How much did you turn?
90 degrees.
Pretty darn close, right?
Yeah.
So how old are you now?
I'll be 80 in 3 months.
80 years old.
Yeah.
And you can make, sitting down with 0 hip movement, almost a 90-degree turn, right? So, that's, first of all, you've heard me complain a lot about people saying you can't make a full shoulder turn because you're not flexible enough. It's bullshit. It's not true at all.
Yeah.
You can make a huge turn when you learn to move from the right place, which is what you're doing now. So when you do this, what do you feel activating? What muscles do you feel?
Right obliques.
Yeah. And they obviously work in pairs, as you know. Any rotary muscles that you use are going to work both sides. You're going to feel one more than the other. You're feeling the right side pulling you
Yes.
back.
Yes.
Right. You make a big, huge turn. When you set up to the golf ball, the same muscles need to activate, and I don't need to really move my hips. The more I move them, the more these muscles lengthen instead of activate.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
So anytime you're in the cart and you're just getting ready to hit a shot and you kind of get off and you get sloppy with your lower body because it's easier to do this. This takes no effort. I can just pivot on this hip socket, turn everything, no work because no muscles are working. Here, you keep doing this and you did this for 2 minutes, you're going to be soaked with sweat. Because as you know, when you start using these muscles, they compress your rib cage. It actually increases your blood pressure, right? So if you kept doing this as a workout, you're going to feel it. And I'm sure you feel it just turning right here. That's what it feels like to activate muscles in your core in the golf swing for power. Does it make sense?
Yes.
So now let's do that same thing in your golf setup, and you start to feel muscles that you've never felt in your golf swing ever before.
Now I'm beginning to understand, because I couldn't understand why I didn't get the distance I should get. Because I knew about the down cock, I knew this, the wrists are soft.
It's perfect.
But it never felt as though I had any push into it.
There was no power to it, for sure. So, set it for me again. Before you go crazy with the club, I want you just to try and feel, without the club, your body doing that same feeling you felt in the golf cart. Feel the same oblique. Make sure you let your hips shift to the right. You need to activate that right glute, push that foot into the ground. Just left it back a little bit. See how it increases the stretch when this is... There you go. Up. Make sure your weight goes over here though.
Yeah, I think they've been concerned about the reverse pivot.
Yeah. Don't worry about that. There you go. You're nowhere near reverse pivoting, I can assure you. There you go. Now, once you feel this activate, and if this knee stays anchored in, that will stretch this left oblique. When you stretch that left oblique, what does it want to do coming down? You're going to use it. There you go. Exactly. So it makes the downswing automatic. You got all the way down to here just by moving this muscle that you loaded during the backswing. There you go. It would only make sense to me that if you want to use your body and your lower body especially to get power from in the downswing, that you'd load it in the backswing, right? So doing this doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Doing this and feeling like a big old oak tree loaded up like a coiled spring makes a lot of sense to me. You need to load and activate the muscles that you want to use. So that's all I'm trying to get you to feel. This knee feels like it stays more anchored in place. It's got to come in a little bit, it's okay. But it can't be coming in while everything's turning. So this turns on top of this. As you keep going, it pulls this in, this stays anchored in, and this is what you're really loading. This is all that really matters. This side needs to be ready to fire in the downswing. And once it fires, then everything else that you do perfectly comes in natural. Make sense?
Yes. One question though.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be taking the club back in a unit...
Don't practice that. You just turned your hips all over the place.
I know, that's what I was going to ask you. How do I take it back as a unit without turning the hips?
Why would the hips matter?
So I have to turn the club with my shoulders.
Yeah.
I've always considered turning this to get it back.
But if you do that, then you lengthen all these muscles again.
So I've got to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's the difference.
This moves everything going back, and then this moves everything coming down.
Yes, now I understand. Because
There
I
you
was
go.
so concentrating on doing that.
Yeah. But you're doing it the lazy man's way, right?
Yeah.
It's not one piece club, shoulders, hips. It's shoulders and arms and club, moving it back as one piece. These are staying quiet relatively as you go back. There you go. Feel more loaded up?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so there, you were late. And when I say late, I mean you were late getting your weight back to the left. You loaded up great, but then, which is everybody's gonna do, you down cocked and used your hands and arms coming down. The first thing you're gonna do is use your legs coming down. So go to the top and stop for me. I'm gonna help you feel this. All right, so forget golf for a second. I'm holding this club, no, hold on to it. And you're gonna fight me to bring this thing down. Doesn't have anything to do with golf. You're just gonna have to use your whole body. All right, you wouldn't use your arms, right? Because you're not gonna be able to overpower me. I'm stronger. So keep using your legs to pull this club down. Now look where your hands are.
Yes.
You only have one job to do from here. What is it?
Just let go.
Release that darn club. There you go, exactly. Imagine that I'm up there holding that club and you're gonna use your whole body to power it down, which is your glutes, back, lats, hamstrings. And then by the time you're done posting up, the club's already here. All you gotta do is let go of it.
You understand. Totally a different concept what I've been doing.
Finish up. No. I want you to pull. You're gonna drill this. You're gonna go to the top. You're gonna stop. You're gonna shift. You're gonna stop.
Oh, yes, you're right.
You're gonna post up, legs straight, and you're gonna stop. And then you're gonna release. So we're gonna go through it in those chunks. Go to the top, stop. Good. So we're gonna check, make sure you're on that right leg. Now, first move, shift to the left and stop. So you can kind of shift back to square. Now post up and stop. We check that the club, left hand right in front of the right thigh, club parallel to the ground, club face, we're gonna get that starting to square up a little earlier. And now from here we check weight stacked over the left ankle, left knee, left hip, shoulder square, hips open, release. Perfect. Again. Go to the top, stop. Okay, so make sure it's loaded up, left knee's anchored in. You can, if you're a little unsure, you want to exaggerate a little bit, you can do that little squat into that right leg to feel a little bit more. Shift to the left, back to square, good. Okay, good. Post up, stop. Left hand, right thigh, club face, move club face open. There you go. Post it up, flatten that foot, and then release. There's your checkpoints. It's all you ever need to practice ever again. Post up, release. Perfect. Again,
As an aside, let me ask you one question. What do you think of Cameron Champ's swing?
I have no idea who he is.
Oh, you haven't looked at him. You should look him up.
I haven't watched golf in 10 years.
He's the guy who's out there out driving everybody in the PGA over 50 yards.
Oh, is he really?
And I'm just wondering what you think about the twist of his body, whether it's going to last or not.
Yeah, we'll sit down at lunch and look at it if you want. I've never looked at him. I don't know who he is. Do the same thing in the whole sequence for me. Good. Let's take a look.
Yeah, this makes total sense.
Good. Now, look at your left leg and the ratio of your hands, right?
Yes.
They're moving together.
Yes.
But earlier, your hands moved 1.5 feet and your leg moved this much.
Yes.
Make sense?
Yes.
You can't be leading with your legs doing that, right?
No.
Now your legs are leading.
Yes.
Looks solid. Awesome.
Yes.
Job's done. You've done all the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is release now, right? Done. It's the whole golf swing.
I know the reason I was worried was I was worried about getting and chunking it. And the reason we chunk it is I wouldn't get the weight over.
Exactly. Shift, good. Ah, don't, now you're out past neutral. There you go, post up, release, there you go. You pushed a little too hard off that right leg and it got your hip past neutral. You've already got 4 artificial joints, you don't need another.
I know. It scares the shit out of me. I'm getting a bit of discomfort here because I think I've been doing too much of this.
When I saw you drill that, you easily went out past neutral. So I know obviously you're pushing from that right and you got to be careful. So when you're doing this, your first move is that left knee right over the ankle and not past. So you need to check this. And if you, this amazing teaching facility, you guys don't have a mirror? It's devastating. It's devastating. First thing you got to do is buy them a mirror and donate it to the club. I've donated 2 things to golf clubs in my life: mirrors and ping pong tables. Those are the 2 essentials at any country club. If you don't have those 2 things, I will not be a member there. So, left knee over the left foot. As you're continuing to finish your shift, you get the left hip over it. Yep. And then you post up and release. Good. There you go. And copper cups for Moscow mules. A Moscow mule is not the same without a copper cup.
I don't know what a Moscow Mule is.
You guys are kidding me. Are you serious?
I have no idea. I'm English.
You guys hear this shit? You don't know what a Moscow mule is?
No, no idea.
It is the best drink in the world. I'm going to buy you one for lunch. If this bartender doesn't know how to make a Moscow mule, we're shipping him out of here. Moscow mule is vodka, ginger beer, some Sprite. All right, we're going to get you a Moscow mule. Nice. Use those legs, get powerful on that left side. Good, very nice. One more time. Stop right there. You have a tendency to almost want to reverse hip shift.
Yes.
Okay? Make sure on that first move going back, here's a simple little trick I used to do on my own when I was trying to make myself shift, because a lot of times we just kind of get hung up on staying centered. This is a personal thing. This is not something that's like some great fundamental, but it has good fundamentals to it. I would lift my right heel to start the swing and stomp it into the ground.
Yes.
And it would, anytime you push into the ground's pushing back against you, and those muscles are going to activate. So just by lifting your heel and stomping it, your glute and hamstring automatically activate. And so you start to get the sensation of thinking about this instead of your arms and hands and all that stuff, or your shoulder turn or whatever. You got to wake up your trunk. That's what we're really trying to do. So if you lift your heel and literally try and stomp it, make an indentation in the ground and kind of sit into it, that will get you getting comfortable shifting your hip to the right instead of just trying to do this and then you almost reverse hip shift.
I know, that's what I've been worried about.
Yeah, so lift your heel and stomp it. There you go. Feel that activate?
Yes.
So use that as a little trigger when you're practicing, especially when you're doing drills, to get this to wake up. So lift it, stomp it as you're going back. Stomp it and push it to the ground. There you go. And that'll help you start to focus on this feeling loaded again. Nice. Right heel down. Right heel down. Does your right foot hurt?
No.
Then how come you put it down like a little girl? Stomp that thing. Stomp it. Lift it and stomp it. There you go. Still a little.
And that's not a reverse C there.
Reverse C? Reverse C, we would typically be talking about the follow through,
that's right.
But we haven't got the follow through there. So.
No, all right.
So the only thing you really need to worry about going back is the reverse hip shift,
Yes.
which is this.
Yeah, that's
right?
what I meant.
Yeah. So no, if you're stomping, letting your hip shift into that right side, you're never going to reverse hip shift there. Stomp it. There you go. Now come down. Awesome. Yep. Release. Beautiful. Really good. Lift it and stomp it. I want to hear it. There you go. Your legs feel awake?
Yes, I can really feel it down here.
Good. That's going to give you stability to coil against, and you can use that once you get everything working correctly, which you have it working, to help speed everything up. I talk a lot about not pushing from the right side on the website because 99% of the golfers that I've ever seen in my life way overdo pushing off the right side. Once the left side's working correctly and is in control, you can use that right side to speed everything up. Now the catch is, you start pushing really hard off this right leg, everything better be on sync, right?
Yes.
Your arms have to go faster, shoulders, hands, everything, release, it all has to happen faster because this right leg is so powerful, it can cause your hips to rotate open really, really quickly, which is fine as long as everything is going really, really quickly. Does that make sense? So be careful with it about trying to really drive off of it. You don't need it, like with a driver, my heel comes up off the ground because I'm going after it a lot of times, right? But on a typical shot, I'm going to keep it down the ground. I'm not going to push that hard off of it because you don't need it, right? Iron's for control. I don't need to hit a 6-iron 230. That's what I got a 5-iron for, right? So same thing here, just don't be super aggressive with it, but you can use it as well because everything you have going on is so good. The only thing I'd be concerned about is you pushing and not getting posted up, and then you'll get that lateral hip slide. Okay, so as long as you focus on moving from the left side first and post up and get shifted up, then you can use the right side to help out a little bit. There you go. Nice. Right heel down. Stomp it. I gotta be honest with you, probably the best golf swing I've ever seen for an 80-year-old. Hands down. Actually, it's not probably. Hands down, that's the best movement, best sinkless I've ever seen.
Thank you.
It's really, really good. That's probably one of the best movements I've seen for a 20-year-old, so looks fantastic.
I have an aim, Chuck. I have an aim.
I can see it. I can see it. The man after my own heart. Except for these Moscow Mule things. We got to correct this.
I don't drink alcohol, so you won't get me drinking that.
I didn't have my first drink till I was 25. My wife is the one that corrupted me. Yeah. I didn't drink alcohol the whole time growing up. And then for my 25th birthday, I went crazy, went to the Cheesecake Factory, and had strawberry daiquiris with whipped cream and cherries. So.
Now, I used to drink until we went sailing, and just two of you on a boat, and you're doing a long passage, like a 20-day passage. You don't drink. You cannot afford not to be 100% in control.
Oh, yeah.
And I would find after 5 or 6, normally, I'd have a couple of drinks every day. A couple of beers or gin and tonic or something, normal person. I found after about 5 or 6 days, I felt so much more alive.
I just saw some.
And we sailed for 17 years, so
wow.
We did a lot of long passages. And I just got to say, I just feel better without alcohol.
I'm 100% on board with that. I have not, as most people know, I don't drink very much at all. If I do drink, though, it's a Moscow Mule. But I think because I never drank growing up, I just never developed a real taste for it. So I can't stand the taste of beer. If I had drink, it's going to be a girly drink, a pina colada, strawberry daiquiri, or a Moscow Mule. But that's it. And then I only have like 1 or 2. And then if I drink too much, I feel terrible the next day. So I rarely drink. But
yeah, well, that's where I gave it up. I just feel so much better without it.
Sure. All right. Let's do a couple more. I'm going to try to hit some. One more. Right heel down. That's pushing off there too much. Okay, stop. Hold your finish on each one. I'm going to make little corrections. Okay, so stop right there. Is your left knee straight?
Not totally.
Straight-ish.
Straight-ish, yes.
Straight's non-negotiable for me.
It's got to be 100% straight.
Straight like you're standing here talking to me.
Yes.
Okay. Doesn't have to be hyperextended, locked out.
No.
But it needs to be straight. And the reason is, as this is straight, one, it stops your hips from moving because you're activating this left glute, and if that left glute is really firing, your hips can't turn anymore, okay? We need those hips to stop rotating so everything can catch up and release. If you're kind of soft with it, you don't get that snap, you don't get that power coming from your legs. So it has to be straight when you're doing that. And it also protects you, because what happens for everybody, if they're just a little soft with it, they'll almost always move out past neutral a little bit, right? So again, that left glute firing is what locks everything in place and protects your back, your hip, and all that stuff.
Yes, and it gives you the snap.
And the snap, exactly. So we want to take advantage of it. We've loaded this up, you've sprung into it, snap into it.
When I was a kid, the person who taught me learnt golf from Harry Varden, and he used to say to me one thing. He said, hit against a firm left side.
I love that
Which is
saying.
exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit late.
Late in the weight transfer.
Not in the weight, sorry, I should have clarified. Late in getting posted up. So the club struck the ground and the leg was still straightening. There's time involved in this energy transfer up the chain, right?
Yes.
You need some physical time and space for this leg to straighten and all of the stuff that's going to happen to help release the club in sequence. So this happens first.
Before the release from a start.
Correct. Because that's what's going to fire the
Yes.
release of the wrist. The wrist and the impact is going to happen just a split second after that. A little bit late.
Wow.
Yep. It's going to feel pretty exaggerated, the time difference between when the club actually gets down to the ground and when you get posted up. It's going to feel like what we did. The reason I broke it into chunks, to stop, and your hands are still here, right?
Yes.
Right now, your knee's here and the club's here.
Okay.
Posted up while the hands are here, and then the release. They shouldn't be happening simultaneously. Post up, there, and then release. There you go. Yep. Think of it this way. Go down halfway down and stop again. Okay, post it up. So if you're, yeah, there you go. From this point on, this is what I call the delivery position, right?
Mm-hmm.
Toed in there slightly. From here, this is when everything really matters. The precision, the control, the speed, all of that stuff is all really going to be dictated by what happens from here on down. So if I keep moving my lower body, that's going to move my hands, my shoulders, my spine, my hips. Everything's going to change. All the angles and positions I've created are going to change. If I wanted to be really, really accurate from this point down, what do you think you would want to do with your lower body? You're drawing a blank because the answer is really simple. Nothing.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering.
Because the more this moves, it changes everything else.
Yes.
Your hips are your foundation. They're the base of your house. You don't want a shifting foundation when you're trying to be incredibly precise at this last moment when everything's moving really fast. You want this to slam on the brakes and chill out. It's done. You're here, and then only thing that has to happen is this stays quiet and this releases. That's how you get control and consistency. But if this is moving every single time because you don't post up on that knee and it slides, your hip changes, just a tiny bit of change in your hip position affects the spine angle, which affects the shoulders, which affects this pivot point, your arms, your hands, club, everything. And then you're trying to time that consistently because every swing is going to be a little different. Mm-hmm. One time you slide a little bit more than the other because as you get tired, the knee goes a little further and you get more and more sloppy and lazy with it. But if you practice getting here and then everything's done and the only thing you do from here is that, how quiet was my lower body? Did nothing. Right? Everything's quiet, so now I have control over that golf club for that one split second.
One question I have for you. Not there, you want it there.
It's gotta be, you had it open. Let's say like if this is 12 o'clock, you had it like right there. And now you just got that much more rotation that you gotta try and make up for in this last little split second of the swing.
Because I had a terrible tendency to do this, so I really have been trying to get it to drop, maybe overdoing that.
Yeah, so when you have tons of lag, the face stays open.
Yes.
Okay. So now when we're this close to hitting the ball, we've got milliseconds left. The last thing I'd want to do is try and take that much rotation and get rid of it in that last split second. So when I'm coming down, my goal is to always be slowly squaring that club face the whole time so that by the time I'm here, I got very little to do with my hands. So I'm trying to reduce that rate of rotation through the hitting area.
Okay.
But if I come in like this, what do I got to do from here?
Yeah.
Nobody's going to time that consistently.
Makes sense.
So when you come down and you checking that halfway point, just make sure it's slightly towed in. There you go. Now you'll see how much less rotation you've got to put in there. Like you're just taking more timing out of the swing. Post up, solid on that knee, and release. There you go.
Got to get that post up a little bit earlier.
There you go. Good.
That's.
And that left glute and leg should be firing. They should feel really alive when you're doing this, when you're getting into that impact position. This is when that video on the site, Squeeze the Cheeks. That's what I'm talking about. At impact, we're trying to stabilize your pelvis. We're trying to lock your foundation in spot. So instead of it moving all over the place. So when you get into here, I want this leg to be fully fired, glutes to be contracted, and everything staying stable at that point. Your core, everything's tight at that point. Okay, stay right there. Right heel down. Feel solid here. Even your abs, especially at impact, we want to really protect our back. So everything there is firmed up at that point. There you go. Flatten that foot, left foot. Don't want you to get to the outside of it. Again. Right heel down. Try to flatten that left foot. There you go.
Why do you want that?
Okay. If I'm here, how much force can I drive down on my leg?
Okay.
Versus if I'm here. The reason you don't go to the gym and do squats like this. It's not very stable.
I follow that. But why do you see the really long hitters, they almost jump off that left foot, which you talk about?
You can come up in the air, but you're not coming up in the air like this. If you're going to jump, you're not going to jump off the side of your foot. You'll break your ankle. You're going to jump with your feet flat on the ground and then push up. But you're trying to jump from a position like this.
And I think that's probably because I'm trying to get it around too much.
Maybe.
Because you really, if I'm understanding this correctly,
Nice and
now
flat.
I've got to get it
release.
around a bit more.
Okay. Flat and just release the club. Nothing changes from there. You go. Everything stays the same. Remember, this is the time when you need to be the most quiet with all these moving points in space, right?
Yes.
So the only thing we want to have moving is just your arms and club at that point. So this just stays anchored to the ground. Think about putting. There's a reason we don't do this in putting, right?
Yeah.
Trying to keep all these fixed points in 3D space in the same spot. Golf is no different in the swing. When we get down to this stroke, it's like a chipping stroke, right? The club's only moving 6 feet. So we want to be really quiet at that point, and we don't want this going to the outside because, again, then you're losing all the stability in your lower body because you can't push your foot down to the ground. That's where you're getting all the stability. In order to activate those muscles, you have to do something with them. What can your glute do? Well, you got medius, you can do all kinds of stuff, right? But the thing that we're concerned about is pushing down into the earth so that as we're doing that, the hip goes up. The hip goes up and back because the club is going down and out.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Because the hip coming up, it gives the whip action.
Yeah.
You just let it just go. It's automatically going to do it.
We're trying to
Anytime you
always-
use a bull whip, you're going to do that.
You're trying to move in the opposite direction the club's going.
Yes.
At all times, right? So the club's going down and out, your hip's going up and back. So as you're doing that, that's why you need to be firm on this foot and not kind of soft to the outside, because you're not going to be able to push on it very hard. Better. Good. Late getting posted up there. Your only focus is not on that club right now, it's that left hip. That's the most important thing for you right now. You're doing great going back and staying a lot more stable with your lower body. Loading that up. There you go, it's better. A little bit late getting posted up. A little bit late. You're going to have to do it in chunks, like I was talking about earlier. So let me borrow it for a second. So when you're going to hit balls and practicing later on, go through it in the exact sequence that we did earlier. So you're going to go to the top, stop, here, stop, release, stop. Nothing changed, right? Do that again. So you're going to go, just go to the top, shift, stop, post up, stop, release, stop.
You're totally posted up before you release.
Absolutely. No point in posting up after the ball's already gone. It doesn't care.
So I've been thinking of combining the release with the posting up, but if you're saying you've got to be posted up before you actually start release.
If you want to start splitting hairs with it, technically they're happening pretty darn close to each other.
Yeah,
but when
I
you're
got to
drilling,
think that.
exactly, you need to practice getting there first,
Yes.
so you know what it feels like, and then release. And then as you're doing this, you start making these pauses a little smaller.
Yes.
Right. So you're just going kind of here, there. You start working on getting used to the feeling of it. Like right now, all I'm really thinking about is my left glute here, right? And so as I just keep doing that, I make those pauses smaller and smaller. I'm just focusing on getting this to fire, and I'm worrying less and less about the golf club. But it's the timing and sequence of it that matters. You got to get there first. If the ball's already gone and you don't post up, it doesn't do us a lick of this. So when you're going to hit balls, I would go through it in that sequence, like we just did.
Yes.
Chunking it, stop, and then just make the pauses smaller and smaller gradually. And once you check it on video and you're like, oh yeah, I'm solid and the club's still back here, then you got it. And you just keep advancing and challenging yourself to make those pauses smaller until it's all one motion. There you go. Exactly, and that's how you hit balls at first. Perfect. Yep. There you go.
Yeah, I've got to do that before.
Correct.
I think that.
Exactly. Well, at that point, if you just get there, there's so much momentum happening in the swing, you don't have to think about anything with the release. That's going to happen.
No.
You couldn't even stop it at that point, really.
But I have to think getting there a lot sooner.
Correct. That's why I keep saying you're late, you're late, you're late. It's way earlier than you think, and that's why it helps to break it into these chunks. And I gave you those checkpoints. Like halfway down, you're back to square, and then here you're open and posted up and releasing. Nice. Good. Powerful post up and release. Straighten that left arm. Left arm's always straight. There you go. Left arm's going to be straight.
Yeah, I know you're talking
pushing
about. I mean, I can do this left-handed, but I know I
There
should
you
do
go.
that more.
Yeah.
Naturally, for me, that arm's a bit bent.
It's just because you're pushing your arm across your chest a little bit. That's the only thing that would cause your arm to bend, right?
Okay.
If I move it this way, this arm has to bend. If I push it this way, it's got to bend. My arm's no longer in center line with my chest, right? So as I get into here, my arm can stay straight, totally fine. But if I start pushing my arm too hard across my chest, it has to fold a little bit. So you're just pushing too hard with the right arm. Post up. There you go.
That's
Good.
what I've got to think
Yeah.
about. It's almost as there, stop, there, do that, and
Yep.
then.
And then release, exactly. There you go. Post up and
You've
release.
got to post up more.
Yeah, exactly. That's your top priority there.
Yes, that's what I got to do.
There you go. That looks awesome. So, Ian, all this stuff makes sense? It's already been an hour.
Totally.
Any questions for me?
No.
No?
No, totally. That's what I like. You go for the fundamentals, watch them. I knew there was something that I was losing power on, and I kept on reading, you know, you've got these 80-year-olds hit the ball 250. And I knew my swing was pretty good, but I said, why the hell can't I do it? Now you told me why.
This is it. You've got all the great thing is the stuff that's really, really hard to learn.
Yeah.
Creating lag, using your arms, keeping them soft, not ripping your shoulders open. You don't do any of that stuff. You literally are missing just this tiny little piece, but
Yeah.
it's, to me, it's the most important piece.
Oh, it's
right?
absolutely, that's where the
Trunk,
power's going to come up.
the swing happens from here to here.
Yeah.
It's all that really matters. The rest of it's just details.
No, I started a training program about 2 months ago, and that's all I've been working on. I now do 80 sit-ups every morning and doing a lot of exercises.
You're
in the
probably
gym.
much more fit than I am, man. Well, thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
inviting me out
Chuck.
to
It's
this-
been wonderful. I really appreciate it. God,
Absolutely, it's
I
my
think
pleasure.
I can really get there now.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. This place is awesome. You got a great place to practice for sure.
We certainly do.